So with these royal palanquin with 3 poles bearing the royal urn, there are supervisor of the royal palanquin with 3 poles who comes from the bureau of the royal household, 2 army officers, 1 in front and 1 in the back of the royal palanquin with 3 poles from the Department of Transportation of the Royal Thai Army, taking charge of the 60 bearers. In fact, 2 ships of 60 bearers of the royal palanquin with 3 poles, and 4 officials from the Fine Arts Department controlling the royal palanquin with 3 poles. The royal urn has now arrived at the intersection near to the elevated hall in front of the Wat Prachetuphol. You can see the Pramahapichai Racharot, or the Great Victory Chariot, just on the right of the picture just a moment ago, ready to begin the second procession of honor. Two royal compositions, Yam Yen and Klai Rung Song, will be played during this first procession. Yam Yen, or Love at Sundawn, is another of His Majesty's royal composition. He composed it while His Majesty was still the royal brother. The Thai lyrics were written by His Holiness by Prince Chakrapan Pensiri, His Highness Prince Chakrapan Pensiri, and the English lyrics by Professor Tan Pujing Nopakun Thongyai Nayutaya. The Near Dawn or Klai Rung Song, on the other hand, is another number written before his accession. Professor Dr. Prasert Nanakorn, who wrote the Thai relic, said His Majesty asked him to close the tune without specifying a theme for it. He said the lyrics were inspired by the dawn crowing of the neighborhood's roosters. He also bore in mind the song's planned launch at the Chicken Raising Promotion Association of Thailand in June 1946. Near Dawn was premiered in July 1946 by the Suntraphorn Band. This is a section headed by His Majesty the King. This is the area near to the elevated royal hall or viewing pavilion in front of Wat Prachetuphol. The hall is reserved for His Majesty the King and members of the royal family to await the arrival and departure of the royal urn during its passage from the golden palanquin to the royal chariot. One hall is built in front of Wat Prachetuphol on the corner opposite the Territorial Defense Command. The other elevated royal hall of Phaplayok is in front of the Suthai Sawan Prasad Hall, and that's reserved for female members of the royal family to pay respect to the passing chariot with the royal urn. And the third one is built in front of the entrance to the cremation ceremony grounds at Sanam Luang. The first procession of honor conveying the royal urn of His Majesty the late King Rama IX has arrived at the elevated royal hall in front of Wat Prachetuphol. His Majesty the King and members of the royal family proceed to the hall. Officials are now docking the golden palanquin with 3 poles at the Naga conveyor next to the Great Victory Chariot. And officials are now preparing for the royal merit-making ceremony of the royal offerings of saffron robes to 20 venerable monks.
Clear! Out!
Officials are now paying respect to the royal urn. They are now preparing to move the royal urn, sliding it across onto the nghi, which is a platform next to the Great Victory Chariot, in preparation for the royal merit making of the offerings of saffron robes. And as you can see, the Great Victory Chariot has a Naka conveyor being placed next to it. This will help in moving the royal urn from the platform below up to the roof pavilion on top of the Great Victory Chariot. The royal urn is now being slid from the royal palanquin with 3 poles to a resting platform at the end of the Naka conveyor. As for the Krun Bandai Nak, or the Naka conveyor, there's one here which serves to bring the royal urn up to the roof pavilion or the Busabok or the Great Victory Chariot. The second one is placed at the royal crematorium and serves to bring the royal urn up to the royal crematorium. The bearers of the royal palanquin with 3 poles are now preparing to move away from the royal platform. The Krun Bandai Nak that you see in the picture next to the Great Victory Chariot is a piece of equipment used to transfer the royal urn from and to the royal chariot and the royal crematorium, instead of using traditional scaffolding, where moving the urn would require manpower with great difficulty. This is a conveyor that moves with the help of a winch, which you will see in a moment. The urn is at the moment placed on a square platform, which is beautifully carved and gilded and decorated with mirror fragments. The bearers are now bringing the royal palanquin with 3 poles away from the area So this is the rear of the royal chariot, the Great Victory Chariot. The Great Victory Chariot or พระมหาพิชัยราชรถ is the most significant royal chariot in the royal cremation ceremony. This particular Great Victory Chariot being used for the royal cremation ceremony was built in the reign of King Rama I or King พระพุทธยอดฟ้าจุฬาโลก the Great in 1795 for the royal cremation of สมเด็จพระปฐมบรมมหาชนก his father in 1796. You can see Naga figures and various decorative patterns associated with the royal chariots and the Naga conveyor. There's a busabok or small roof pavilion on this chariot. พระมหาพิชัยราชรถ is a large royal chariot 11.20 meters high and 18 meters long, 4.84 meters wide, and weighs 13.7 tons, requiring as many as 222 strong men to pull it. The Great Victory Chariot has been built following the concept of Buddhist cosmology, in which Mount Sumeru is believed to be the epicenter of the universe and the abode of the god Indra, the head of heavenly beings. The royal chariot is modeled after the mythological Mount Sumeru, with the roof throne as a symbol. The square base structure upon which the royal urn is placed is open on all sides, with a sloping roof in 3 descending stages, elaborately carved and decorated. In the royal ancient tradition, passed on from the Ayutthaya period, the moving of the royal urn to the royal crematorium is of great importance. The oldest evidence of this tradition is the image of พระมหาพิชัยราชรถ which was used to transport the royal urn of King Petracha to the funeral pile in 1704. This royal chariot with 4 wheels is in the form of a pavilion. The use of พระมหาพิชัยราชรถ for the royal cremation ceremony has continued to the Ratanakosin of Bangkok period. The Great Victory Chariot or พระมหาพิชัยราชรถ is the largest royal chariot in the procession of honor, arranged to transport the royal urn containing the remains of a king or a high-ranking royal. This royal chariot was constructed in the reign of King Rama I, as I mentioned, based on the royal tradition of the Ayutthaya kingdom. After having used for the royal cremation of the father of King Rama I in 1796, in 1799, when the elder sister of King Rama I, Her Royal Highness Princess Krom Pratep Sudawadi, died, the king commanded that the royal urn containing his sister's royal remains to be carried on to the royal cremation upon the Great Victory Chariot again. Since then, the royal chariot has been used to carry the royal remains of kings, queens, and members of the royal family for more than 200 years now. It was used for the last time in the moving of the royal urn during the royal cremation ceremony for Her Royal Highness Princess Pecharat in 2012. The Great Victory Chariot has deteriorated with time and has occasionally been repaired and maintained, such as in the reign of King Rama VI or King Vachiravud, when the royal chariot was not only renovated but also strengthened with the addition of wheels to bear the weight of the carriage body, the roof, throne, and the royal urn. Here's สมเด็จพระวรรณรัตน์ on the small royal chariot. He will serve to recite the Holy Scriptures, leading the procession as he has done with the first procession. So in a moment after the royal merit-making activities by His Majesty the King, the second procession will begin. The second procession, transporting the Prakot Thong Yai, or the great golden royal urn, upon this great victory chariot, will travel from the front of Wat Prachetupon to the royal crematorium or Pramerumat at Sanam Luang ceremonial ground. Troops involving in the second procession, total 2,406 in number. They will take the route along Sanam Chai Road, Rajadamnern Nai Road, into the central road of Sanam Luang, covering a length of 890 meters, taking approximately 2 hours. Here's the minor royal chariot with the venerable monk sitting. Rajarot Noi, or the small royal chariot, has been made in the same style as the great victory chariot, with a carved body, lacquered and gilded and decorated with mirrors. The jutting beams are carved as the Naga King. A busabok, a roof pavilion, is placed on the royal chariot as well, but of a lesser size. The small royal chariot is for His Holiness the Supreme Patriarch, or his representative, to sit as he recites prayers in the procession. It will lead the great victory chariot to the royal crematorium. His Majesty the King, accompanied by Her Royal Highness Princess Chakri Sirinthorn and members of the royal family, are now approaching the great victory chariot. His Majesty the King is now placing the royal offerings of saffron robes, 5 at a time, to 20 venerable monks who will be coming to receive this offering, 5 monks at a time as well, to the total of 20. The saffron robes are placed near the royal urn at the end of the Naga conveyor, or Gren Bandai Nak. The first group of 5 monks are now approaching. Upon receiving the royal offerings of saffron robes or Patrai from His Majesty the King, the venerable monks acknowledges this act of merit-making for the deceased by deliberating on the offered items and meritorious intent of the monarch in disseminating the good deeds thus made to the deceased. They will at the same time chant a short prayer for the deceased known as Sadampakon. Sadapakon is a Thai word devised from Pali and Sanskrit for use in the case of members of the royal family, equivalent to Bangsukun for the funeral of commoners. During the royal funeral ceremonies, apart from the recitation of the Holy Scriptures, the chanting of Buddhist blessing, the preaching of a sermon, there's also another traditional religious ritual, the chanting of prayers for the deceased as a response to the offering of saffron robes to the monks. The merit made from such offerings to the monks is dedicated to the deceased, and the monks will chant in recognition of the merit made and to disseminate it to deceased. The traditional Thai religious custom during a funeral ceremony bangsukun cloth or pa bangsukun is offered to monks for use as a monk's gown. So for commoners, they refer to this ritual as the bangsukun. Bangsukun or pa bangsukun means a piece of cloth that is contaminated by dust. And according to the legend, during the time of the Lord Buddha, cloth was a very difficult item to find and was also very costly. Monks and novices used to collect pieces of old cloth that had no owners and were left in rubbish piles, or pieces of cloth that wrapped around corpses in cemeteries. Once enough had been collected, these would be sewn into saffron robes to be worn by monks and novices. Relatives of monks might also specifically present the cloth and blankets to some monks, or might present the robes to a group of monks so that they might share these between them. These presented robes were called pa bangsukun or bangsukun cloth. The religious tradition later developed that when a person passed away, relatives of the deceased popularly presented robes to monks and novices as a merit-making gesture for the deceased. These robes are still being called pa bangsukun, and nowadays has taken the form of saffron robes. Another group of venerable monks is approaching the royal Great Victory Chariot to receive the offerings. They come from various temples in Bangkok. You can see here the back of the Krun Bandai Nak, or the Naga conveyor, which resembles the stern of a boat. In a moment, it is lowered to allow an official to sit and keep the royal urn steady while it's being transported, being moved up the conveyor. Another group of venerable monks is receiving the offering of the saffron robes. The royal merit-making ceremony has now been completed. His Majesty the King is now returning to the elevated royal hall, while court officials pay respect and proceed to transfer the royal urn to the busabok, or the roofed pavilion of the Great Victory Chariot. In a moment, we shall see the mechanical working of the Naga conveyor or the Krun Bandai Nak with very distinctive sound. Large number of people gathered around this intersection to pay their final respect to the royal remains of His Majesty the late King Rama IX. The two personal physicians of His Majesty the King are now ascending the Great Victory Chariot to get into their positions, kneeling beside the royal urn to help in the supporting the urn during the journey. As for the pullers of the royal chariots, the Royal Thai Army Ordnance Department is mainly responsible for pulling the two main royal chariots here, the Racharot Pranam, or the small royal chariot, and the Pramhapichai Racharot, or the Great Victory Chariot. 331 troops will pull the chariot, while another 110 troops will be responsible for conveying the royal urn up and down the ladders of the Pramhapichai Racharot royal chariot. Officials now sitting at the back of the ngưỡng to take care of the royal urn during its ascent up the Great Victory Chariot. The Naga conveyor is equipment looking remarkably similar to a modern-day lift. It is 1.525 meters wide, 2.365 meters long, and 4.4 meters tall. The base is 1.786 meters wide, 3.06 meters long. It requires 20 personnel in controlling its actual operation. The sides are lined with gold cloth, with the bar on both sides decorated in the shape of Naga serpent, hence its name. It was designed by Prince Kromalung Pitakmuntri, son of Princess Sisudarak and nephew of King Rama I, and built in 1811, and first used for the royal funeral of King Rama I in 1812 to replace the scaffold which had been used in the old days. There's another Naga conveyor of Ngưỡng Bandai Nak, as I mentioned. You will see with the third procession of honor later at the Royal Crematorium. So, as I mentioned, this Great Victory Chariot was constructed during the reign of King Rama I in 1796 for use in the royal cremation ceremony of the king's father, Somdet Prapathom Baromahachanok. And in 1799, when the elder sister of King Rama I passed away, the king commanded that the royal urn containing his sister's royal remains be carried to the royal crematorium upon the Great Victory Chariot once again. And ever since, the royal chariot has been used to carry the royal remains of kings, queens, and members of the royal family for more than 200 years now. The Fine Arts Department recognized the need to facilitate the mobilization of the royal chariot in the ceremonial procession and to beautify the royal chariot with Thai craftsmanship. In repairing and strengthening the royal carriage, efforts were made to reduce the weight of the royal carriage and chariot while retaining the magnificence of traditional Thai art. This was achieved in the renovation in 1987. Later in 1996, this royal chariot was strengthened to carry the royal urn for Her Royal Highness Princess Sinakrindra, the Princess Mother. That was another major renovation of Pramhapichai Racharot. The part that was more than 80% damaged has been recovered with gold leaf. In addition, 140 figures of celestial beings called Tepanom around Pramhapichai Racharot have also been repaired. Their old surface was removed, then lacquer and gold leaf were applied along with new glass decoration. In repairing the sculptures of celestial beings, the old surface was not usually removed each time. But this time, the Office of Traditional Arts required that the old surface be removed in order that the sculptures would be re-lacquered and re-gilded. but no new design has been created to replace the original one. We still retain the original pattern as much as possible. Some parts were damaged, as seen from different colors on the wood. Craftsmen of today could modify and improve the artistic work, restoring it to its former state, as did by ancient craftsmen. Although the materials used in renovating the Great Victory Chariot differ from those in the past, the Fine Arts Department still followed the traditional practice and upheld the local wisdom handed down from ancient times. The present-day craftsmen noted that the ancient artistic creations were made from natural materials. They have remained there in their original state despite the passage of time dating back to about 200 to 300 years. When natural materials come together, they will complement one another. But when chemicals are used to mix with natural materials, they only beautify the surface. However, the inside is hollow. Naturally, lacquer consists of oil, which will make the wood lively and durable until today. That's the reason why today's craftsmen responsible for the renovation of the Great Victory Chariot have to use the old method passed on to the present generation by our ancestors. In renovating the Great Victory Chariot, new glass decoration and lacquer were applied. The Ordnance Department has also repaired wheels and axles, as well as strengthening the lower part of the Royal Chariot, so that it will be ready for being used as the major chariot in this significant royal ceremony in the Thai history. The Royal Thai Army Ordnance Department is mainly responsible for pulling the two main royal chariots on this second procession. And this royal procession will comprise many more people than the processions of previous royal cremation ceremonies. It is therefore anticipated that the space between each person walking in the procession will be much closer. The procession controller has been aware of this and has to base the movement of the people in the procession on the speed of the Great Victory Chariot. No one should march faster than the royal chariot. And if the Great Victory Chariot stops moving, then the front of the procession must stop and wait as well. So there's a lot of coordination that need to be achieved during the second procession. Previous rehearsal of the royal procession have achieved all of its objectives, with some attention to detail required in a few small areas, especially the movement of the Great Victory Chariot along the last leg of the journey, which contains the route's only curved path before entering the grounds of Sanam Luang.
Adulyadej บรมนาถบพิตรตรงหน้าระวัง
The troop is getting ready to pay salutation to His Majesty the late King Bhumibol Adulyadej. royal urn has now been moved up the Naga conveyor to the level of the roof pavilion or busabok of the Great Victory Chariot. The court official sitting beside the royal urn will now prepare to move the royal urn, sliding it across from the Naga conveyor, as he's doing now, to the busabok of the Great Victory Chariot. The two personal physicians of His Majesty the late King are preparing to receive the royal urn and place the royal urn within the roof pavilion, secure it in place, ready for the journey. For the past 3 months, from May 2017 onwards, the soldiers and also civil servant officials have continually trained their personnel for the royal procession.
Rear! Out!
The soldiers, the guards of honor, have been ordered to order arms. They are preparing for the movement of the procession. So for the last 3 months, the participants have been going through rehearsals, trainings, and despite the hard work which required a lot of perseverance, they conducted their duties to the utmost of their abilities to honor the memory of the beloved King, who will forever be in the hearts of all Thai people. The greatest challenge is the weather. But ever since the rehearsal began in May, the troops have been able to adapt extremely well to the weather, no matter how hard it rained or how hot it became. The troops participating in the royal processions are dedicated and are ready to work to honor the King, who is cherished and loved by all Thai people. The Naval Dockyard Department, the Royal Thai Navy, has been responsible for the preparation of the rope to be used for the pulling of the royal chariots. The rope can be divided into 2 types, one for the actual royal ceremonies and the other for the training of troops involved in the pulling of the royal chariots. The rope has been newly made for the 6 royal chariots and also the Bandai Nak on the Naga conveyor, such as for the Great Victory Chariot, 4 pieces of rope with 43 loops, each 40.25 meter long rope is for the forward pulling of the Great Victory Chariot by 43 soldiers, and 2 pieces of rope with 22 loops, each 22.40 meter long rope is for the backward pulling or slowing halting of the Great Victory Chariot by 22 soldiers. For the Rajarot Noi Royal Chariot, 4 pieces of rope with 14 loops, each 17.4 meter long rope is for the forward pulling of the small royal chariot by 14 personnel. 2 pieces of rope with 9 loops, each 11.65 meter long rope is for the backward pulling of the chariot by 9 personnel. There are also rope made for the royal gun carriage with 2 pieces of rope with 14 loops, each 13.5 meter long. In order to accord the highest honor to His Majesty the late King, the Office of Traditional Arts has created many components for both royal chariots and palanquins. For example, there are 4 5-tiered umbrellas of state. The components also included 4 curtains to decorate the Great Victory Chariot with the Tepanum design. There are 4 curtain tiebacks made of crystal and decorated with beetle wings. A total of 15 stands, or the Thong Sam Chai or the victory flags, are arranged for the Great Victory Chariot and the small royal chariot, as well as the Rachen Trayan Busabok throne. So in a moment, the second procession, participated by troops of 2,406 in number, will transfer the royal urn upon the Great Victory Chariot from in front of the Prachetupon Temple or Wat Prachetupon to the Pramerumat or the Royal Crematorium at Sanam Luang. The route will be along Sanam Chai Road, Rachadamnern Nai Road into the central road of Sanam Luang, covering a length of 890 meters, taking approximately 2 hours. Soldiers are moving away the Naka conveyor, and another group of soldiers are bringing the various components of the Great Victory Chariot to be put in place. During this second procession of honor, there will be 3 main songs being played by the military band. First one is the Phaya Sop, or the Great Sorrow. The melancholic song will keep the marchers in pace with one another. The procession will move forward in a majestic and serene manner, befitting the status of His Majesty the late King Rama IX. The song will be an important accompaniment in bringing all ties together, in sending His Majesty to return to heaven during the royal cremation ceremony. Phaya Sop, or the Song of Great Sorrow, had been used in various royal ceremonies. It has origin from an ancient song of the Ayutthaya period, being the song of the Grand Buddhist Sermon, Chapter 3. Sometimes Phaya Sop song was separated out and used as a singing musical composition, accompanied by a Thai orchestra and corn performance during the act that reflects the emotion of sadness. Later, towards the end of King Rama IV's reign, Phra Pradit Phairot, a nationally famous Thai musician, composed 3 levels for the singing of the song, accompanied by Thai orchestra. He then wrote the song into a separate single piece that had become the basis for the performing by all kinds of musical instruments right up until today. Soldiers participating in the procession are now getting to their positions. Here's the Prime Ministers and the directors of various committees related to the organization of the royal cremation ceremony are moving into their positions. Leading the procession will be 3 battalions of military troops from all 3 armed forces academies, and then followed by the procession of honor. Behind the procession, there will be the 2 battalions, the 4th Battalion of the 1st Infantry Regiment, King's Bodyguard, and the 5th Battalion of the 11th Infantry Regiment, King's Bodyguard. Apart from Phaya Sok song, there are 2 other songs to be played by the military band. The Wild Tiger Calls praising song or playing San Sern Sữa Pa, and King Narai praising song or playing San Sern Phra Narai. So the pullers are now in place. There are altogether 216 pullers of the Great Victory Chariot, with 4 officials from the Fine Arts Department controlling the chariot, 2 army officers, 1 in front and 1 in the back of the Great Victory Chariot, controlling the pullers. They are from the Ordnance Department of the Royal Thai Army, taking charge of the 216 pullers. There's also a supervisor of the Great Victory Chariot coming from the Bureau of the Royal Household. The chariot would be pulled by 172 soldiers from the Ordnance Department of the Royal Thai Army in the front, and it is going to be held back from behind by 44 soldiers from the same department who serve to slow down or stop the forward movement of the chariot. The distance between the front end and the rear end of the ropes attached to the Great Victory Chariot spans 76 meters.
Nếu có buôn năm cặp rắn anh.
The procession signaller has given the first set of signals to the procession using the sound-making instrument called grub. This is to signal the troops to face in the forward direction of the procession. The second set of signal will inform the participants to get prepared.
Nếu có buôn back out.
Commander has given the order for the pullers to take up the ropes, get themselves ready, in position to start the procession. The third signal from the procession signaller will inform the troops to move, march forward.
กระบวนนะเดิน
The second procession of honor has now commenced. It is arranged according to the ancient royal traditions. 2,406 personnel involved in the second procession of honor for the conveyance of the royal urn from the area in front of the elevated royal hall at Wat Prachetukon to the royal crematorium, the distance of 809 meters. The principal composition of the second progress of honor comprises the two victory flags and the small royal chariot pulled by 74 soldiers from the Ordnance Department, the Royal Thai Army, on which a venerable monk, Somdet Prawannarat, is sitting and reading the Holy Scriptures, leading the procession, accompanied by traditional musical sounds of the bronze drums, victory drums, brass instruments and conch shells. There are items of high nobility, namely Chat Krung Sung Thong Phe Luat, or tiered gold-embroidered umbrellas of high nobility, being carried to lead and close the rear of the small royal chariot. 3 barriers of items of high royal decorations accompany the monk's chariot, namely barriers of the gold-embroidered sunshade, or Bang Sun Thong Phe Luat, a long-handled ceremonial gold or silver brocade tiered umbrella, or Sapaton Ta, a long-handled waving fan or Patbo. The section relating to the Great Victory Chariot then follows, with the bearers of the tiered embroidered royal insignia of rank umbrellas, or Chat Krung Sung Hak Thong Khwang, other high-ranking umbrellas of honor with distinctive patterns. These items of honor lead the Great Victory Chariot and also close the rear of the chariot. Great Victory Chariot, there is a driver holding peacock tails in his hands. This is a traditional driver accompanying the Great Victory Chariot. He's from the Bureau of the Royal Household. Accompanying the Great Victory Chariot, you can see the row of column of royal guards, 80 number on either side of the Great Victory Chariot. 8 officials dressed as Indra to convey the silver floral offerings, and 8 officials dressed as Prom or Brahma to convey the gold floral offerings. They are from the Army Air Defense Command units of the Royal Thai Army.